Hello there. What is up, you guys? It's Violet here, and welcome back to Let's Catch a Vibe. Now, I hope everyone's feeling great, feeling amazing, feeling vibey. As you guys can tell by the title, this is going to be my review of Moon Knight Episode 3. Now, I'm going to put it in the thumbnail. There is going to be spoilers in this episode, so if you guys haven't watched the episode today, probably best to leave this video and go and watch it and then come back. But anyway, pretty much counting up from the last episode, Episode 2, Mark Spector's in Cairo. So pretty much we end up finding out that Mark Spector's gone to Cairo and hasn't told Layla, he's just immediately left. We catch up to a bit of that later on. But yeah, we end up going out and finding out that Mark Spector's going after pretty much the diggers. Because if anybody knows, world famously, if you want to go after an architect or you want to find out where they are in the middle of the world, you go after the diggers. Because obviously every architect needs diggers or a dig site to do their work. So Mark Spector ends up going after these pretty much people on the street, like, you know, muggers and stuff like that, trying to find out the down low and where the dig site is. And we get a bit of interference from Steve Grant. Now, you know, they're from the end of episode 2, you know, they're kind of like, you know, opposing each other. You know, Steve and Grant doesn't want the blood on his hands. Mark's just doing his job, being trained as Khonshu's warrior. But yeah, we get a bit of interference. There's a bit of a knife fight, a bit of an action scene where we get like a knife fight, and obviously Stephen Grant's like, no, don't hit him or da da da. Fast forward a little bit, he ends up catching up to the same goons. He's in a taxi ride because obviously Stephen Grant takes over, and obviously we get teleported somewhere else like at a later time. Moving away from that, we end up finding out that Stephen Grant, I think it's Stephen Grant, the persona that he's in, when he sees these gentlemen that he's literally just beat up, I don't know how many hours ago. He literally sees them walking around, chases him, catches up to him. Stephen Grant gets involved again. Boom! He gets hit on the back of the head. So, we then wake up with Mark Spector being in charge. And pretty much he's got all these guys on the ropes. They're all on the floor. One guy, which is the youngest one, which Steve stopped him from hitting earlier on. He did hit him, but he stopped him from actually hitting him earlier on. But yeah, pretty much we end up finding out Mark puts him towards the edge on Khonshu's command. Holds him over the edge by his tie. He says something about Ahmed. Chops his own like scarf. He dies. So then pretty much we end up finding out Mark Spector and Mark Spector and Khonshu have a bit of a talk between each other, and they're like, you know, what do we do now? You know, Mark's asking, what do we do now? I followed everything. He said, what do we do now? Pretty much, obviously, if you guys remember hearing, Khonshu is not really in the best favour or light with the gods. So we end up finding out that he blacks out the sky to summon the gods. Yep, we get to a part where all of the avatars of the different gods, like Horus, Osiris, they all get summoned, right? So they get summoned to this pretty much temple of the gods, which is in the giant temple of Pyramid of Giza, you know, the biggest pyramid there is. But yeah, we end up finding out, you know, they have a bit of a discussion. Obviously, Mark Spector, he's speaking through Khonshu, speaking through Mark Spector, saying, listen, I've summoned you all here because this guy, Arthur Harrow's looking to, Stephen Hawke's character, he's looking to pretty much take over the world, pretty much when he resurrects Ammit, which, if you guys don't know, she's pretty much the crocodile head one. Again, I'm going to have to go into my Egyptian knowledge. But anyway, they all get summoned to this Temple of the Gods. You know, Khonshu speaking through Mark, his avatar, pretty much saying, listen, this guy's going to resurrect Ammit, we need to do something right. End up finding out that Arthur Harrow gets summoned while he's at his dig site. And I was like, okay, this is going to be very interesting. Obviously, he's walking in there, he knows what he wants to say and what he wants to do. And yeah, pretty much, not even going to lie to you guys, the gods are useless. They've pretty much done what the Eternals have done and stepped away from humanity and not got involved, and their avatars just observe. What is there to observe? I don't know. Get involved, please. But anyway, we don't see Bast, which I was hoping, or we didn't get a mention of Bast, because obviously, well, Bast isn't in the Egyptian mythology. He was, and then Bast went to Africa and formed, obviously, the Black Panther, Wakanda, you know what I mean? So you pretty much know about Bast. But yeah, if you guys didn't know, Bast is supposed to be part of that mythology. Or he still is, he just was previously. But anyway, obviously Arthur Harrow works his magic and says, listen, Khonshu's avatar's broken, man. He did the same thing to me, you know, pleads to pretty much what they want to hear kind of thing. yeah, we end up having the council speak to Mark Spector, and obviously we find out that Mark says, listen, it's not about me being broken, it's about this guy being on trial. We need to do something. What we're going to do. So, again, don't get to any result. They end up leaving there, but we do get one of the followers of the gods speak to Mark and tell him about going to find out about this sarcophagus, because it's supposed to have the location of where Amit was buried, because pretty much the gods again pretty much hid her dig site pretty much, but they left it to one man to keep track of where the dig site was. Pardon me. Just in case they change their minds. But anyway, bit of a fast forward to Mark Spector going after this sarcophagus, but we meet up with Layla. Obviously, we get the conversation back and forth between them that, you know, why did you leave me out on this? We've done adventures before. Obviously, Mark's trying to protect her because he knows Khonshu's got his eye on her if he dies. If Mark dies, he wants Layla. But yeah, we end up going through. Really, really good set piece. We got like a bit of a nightclub scene. Well, a bit of a nightclub scene. We'd have like an overhaul of Cairo, pretty much with the lights and stuff. But anyway, we find out that Layla knows this person who has the sarcophagus. And yeah, it's pretty much like, you know, rich guy, pretty much entitled, should we say. He pretty much entitles himself as a collector, preserver of history, you know, the general jargon which we've all heard before in some movie plots and stuff. But anyway, he's got a lot of the artifacts, right? So then we end up finding out that Layla and Mark Spector go to him and pretty much want to say, listen, you know, I'd like to have a look at it pretty much. Obviously, Layla has a bit of a history with this guy, not in terms of relationship-wise, just like, you know, they've dealt with each other before in terms of, like, you know, artifacts or going after stuff, because obviously he's an artifact collector. But yeah, moving on, you know, we get Arthur Harrow show up, because obviously Amit's telling him probably where to go, so he's being guided, you know what I mean? He kind of knows what he needs to go after and for. Obviously, fight breaks out. Arthur Harrow destroys this kind of like, I want to say parchment with they're after, or he kind of like burns it with Amit's fire, which you guys saw a bit of the power in the second episode. But yeah, obviously Moon Knight comes out, Mark Spector takes over, we get a bit of a fight. Really, really good choreography. Really, really good choreography. I'm really, really getting into see Moon Knight. A lot of people won't know about Moon Knight from like the video games and stuff like that, because obviously this will be their first introduction. But yeah, really, really good character. Really, really gets some of his abilities, the suit. Obviously, we find out it's like a healing suit and stuff like that. We do get a bit of a, I want to say, more involvement by Steve Grant. He's like, no, you know, don't do this, don't do that. Because obviously he doesn't want to be known as the guy with blood in his hands, does he? You know what I mean? He's more of the smart one in this one. Where originally in the comics, Steve Grant persona was the rich billionaire kind of thing. He was a bit on the low end of billionaires, but he was a billionaire nevertheless. But anyway, the only persona we haven't seen yet is Jake Lockley, which is the cab driver, which usually keeps himself low to the ground to find out. Pretty much like Batman does with his Matches Malone persona, when he goes really, really underground. He looks like a homeless guy, so he can find out some stuff. But anyway, moving on, get a fight piece. Really, really good choreography, the lighting, really, really good. Then we end up finding out that Mark and Layla end up taking some of the birch parchment, and they realise that they can try and put it back together, because pretty much it's about star signs. And obviously, if you know anything about star signs positions, because the Egyptians pretty much, their landmarks, they pretty much found a way to get there through the star signs, and like obviously the light and stuff like that. But anyway, we find out that Layla and Mark end up finding out where this place is. They have to bring on the Steve Grant persona, because obviously he's the smart one, so you know they end up bringing him on. Bit of a fast forward, they are being tracked. You know, they have somebody seen them in the car going when they're going. Yeah, bit of a tragic scene, because we do get to see Khonshu come back again, and obviously he says, you know, you're not going to get all these stars to realign again unless I get involved, but if I do, he was told by the gods, you get involved again, we're going to imprison you in stone. So we get a bit of a you know, pulling down of the sky kind of thing, where Khonshu rewinds back time and brings the stars back to that night, because obviously him being like a god, he would know exactly, he would be the moon god, he would remember exactly what the stars looked like on that night. Really, really good transitional scene, like it literally affects the whole world, because he's literally spinning back the stars kind of thing. Similar to that scene in Elden Ring, if anyone's ever beat, what's his name? Is it Radan? The Radan boss? You know, when you see the shooting stars in there? Again, bit of a spoiler for Elden Ring, but you see like the shooting stars going down because he was holding back the stars, Radan was, which is a bit of a tragic story with him. But anyway, long story short, Mark ends up getting killed because obviously Khonshu's been imprisoned in stone, so he's taken back his powers. And he does say to Mark, "You've got to break me free." Pretty much Khonshu's been sucked and he's been imprisoned in the temple where where they went for the court of the gods, or the summoning the gods. Obviously, Layla's left there. She doesn't know what's going on. So we're left with Mark dead, Layla not know what's going on, unless he gave his powers to Layla. We also end up getting that Osiris has been working with Arthur Harrow, which was kind of like, okay. I'm sure it was Osiris anyway. But yeah, we end up pretty much finishing on a cliffhanger where we find Arthur Harrow talking to Khonshu in a stone statue. It's not like a small stone statue. In pretty much where the gods, because Khonshu's been bound there. Now he can't leave there. But yeah, we end up finding out that Arthur Harrow pretty much saying, listen, if you didn't break me, I wouldn't be in this position now. So thank you, which is pretty nuts. But yeah, left us on a really bit of a cliffhanger. But again, the acting, the chemistry between the actors, the set pieces, the choreography, the action scenes, man, I'm really liking this. The first episode was like, okay, you are not really going to see much because it introduces you to the persona and, you know, the mental health version. But man, this episode was dope. Only 3 left. But anyway, guys, I'm going to leave this video here. If you like this video, please don't forget to smash that like button. If you didn't like the video, let me know in the comments down below why you like the video. Also, let me know what was your favourite scene. Also, if you are new, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the channel if you're new and join Team Let's Catch a Vibe. Also, if you are new, please don't forget to switch on the bell notifications to get notified as soon as I upload. But more importantly, don't forget to stay vibey, and I'll catch you on in the Marvel Universe. Peace. Cheese.